Hello there, greetings upon you. Let's try and have a bit of fun today on this very hot afternoon in Queensland, Australia, summer. So this is the first book haul for 2026. That's fun, right? Everyone loves a good book haul. I checked online hoping to see that it had been a long time since my last book haul and I could use that as an excuse for this mountain of books sitting next to me. Sadly, in December the 20th, my last book haul occurred, so this is unjustified and unapologetically extreme. January was my birthday month. Some of these are presents. I got one lovely gift from a viewer of the channel, and a couple of other things happened. I went on a road trip and I stopped by a bookshop I've never seen before. Now, Rowie, if you're watching this, your recommendation of bookshops is great. It's in the Northern Rivers. I've forgotten its name. It's a tiny, tiny little town in the middle of essentially nowhere. Let me just see if I can find it. It's right next to the river. Is it Woodburn? Woodburn, or you know what? Most of you aren't going to go there. If someone is likely to go there, it was great. And I'll message me, I'll tell you where. So that happened. The books there weren't cheap. They also weren't well protected. I recently watched a Zardos warehouse video by Jules Burt where the warehouse is in darkness so that the sun won't affect them. This bookshop was far from that. It was right on the window, and the shelf facing the window was, sadly, the science fiction fantasy section. So clearly the owner of the bookstore doesn't really rate science fiction as high on his radar. There was actually quite a lot of rare stuff that I don't see very much, so I got a lot out of that. Also, I've got a friend who's been working at a charity store that has a book section worth all the books for $1. That's been pretty fatal, I've got to tell you. Thank you, Steve, for all the books that I have acquired through you. And a community books exchange opened up near me. That has not helped either. Anyway, I have a multitude of books. Let us get into it. So a few from Steve for a start. That was the Acacia Ridge charity store, dump shop, I can't remember, which recently made a ridiculous mistake in dumping all of its books. It now has almost none left. That's really sad. But I managed to save some of them before they wound up in the tip. Agatha Christie, After the Funeral. I am trying to acquire all the Agatha Christies, and this was one of the fairly few, I've got to say, that I don't have. It's one of the Fontana editions. It's not unread, but it's in pretty good condition, all things considered. Another one was even better. The Man in the Brown Suit. I don't know if it's the first Agatha Christie, but it's very early in her writing. It's the one that I've never been able to get, and here I've got it in a rather nice little pan edition. So I'm really quite thrilled about that one. That might be the next Agatha Christie I read. Also from Acacia Ridge, or was it Gayndah? Can't remember. Brideshead Revisited by Evelyn Waugh. I've never read this. I did watch an early TV series of it at some stage, I think, but I don't remember it well. And I only read my first Evelyn Waugh book last year. I was really impressed by it. I was sad that I hadn't read any of his before, so this will give me a chance to catch up. Footfall by Niven and Pornell. I've got a fair bit of Niven and Pornell, but I didn't have this one, and now I do. I might need to take a year off life, however, if I am ever going to get through them all, because none of them are slender. They are not slender. Another one from the dump shop was Terry Pratchett, The Colour of Magic. I do have The Colour of Magic, and I've read it many times. It's on the bookshelf behind me somewhere. Too high up for you to see. But what I don't have is this cover. And I really like this cover. This is clearly a Josh Kirby cover, but it's not the Josh Kirby cover that appeared on the original Colour of Magic. So I was quite intrigued by that. In good condition, possibly completely unread. Yeah, I need to think about that one. Do I really need multiple copies of Terry Pratchett? It's not as if I don't have multiple copies already. Anyway. And this, I think, was the apex of Steve's gifts. Trapped in Space by Jack Williamson in this wonderful little scholastic. Look at that image. Have you ever seen a more naff spacesuit? And that spacesuit helmet is a goldfish bowl in the true sense of the word. I think it's absolutely fantastic, and it's a wraparound. Now, I don't know anything, I don't think, about Jack Williamson. Doesn't ring a bell. And I don't know anything about Trapped in Space, except it looks ridiculous. But it might not be. I've got a couple of other scholastics, including The Door. That's one of the best children's science fictions I've ever read. So I will read this. I don't know when. And of course, like all the scholastic children's books, it's got some black and white that fit the cover image and are as good. I'm really thrilled with that one. It's just fantastic. Continuing on with the theme of really old ones that are a bit naff. Damon Knight, Beyond the Barrier. This is an old book. I don't even recognize what type of McFadden Bartel book with a really pretty cool cover. I like Damon Knight, and I've got to say, finding Damon Knights in the wild is pretty rare. So I was pleased with this little one. Old, fragile. I'll talk more about it when I read it. This is probably the winner of the obscure. The Man with Absolute Motion by Silas Walter. Science fiction arrow. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but if you have, you definitely have not reviewed it on Goodreads. This is a 0 Goodreads review book. I will probably read it. I would have bought it for the sheer beauty and ancestry of this cover and the image, but yeah, I think that could actually be fun. The universe is running down. The only man on Earth capable of saving the world is sent on a terrifying journey through space to align himself with the source of cosmic power. Okay, it may be bad, but it's so bad it's good. That kind of bad. Okay, what else have we got? The Universe Maker by A. Van Vogt. His rarest novel back in print, or so claims Ace. It's rare enough that I don't remember ever having seen it. Love the artwork. And it is older. It's clearly been through the wars. I don't know if you can quite see that, but someone's actually cut a notch in it to show that it is not going back on the shelf. Anyhow, pretty happy with that. I do have a fair bit of Van Vogt, but I'm not sure you can have too much Van Vogt, because when you're in the mood to read it, there's a lot there. This one was from that fading shop on the Northern Rivers, and it wasn't cheap. I think a lot of them weren't. This one I think was $3. It is John Brunner, The World Swappers. It is once again a tiny little ace, normal sized book. Well, my normal at least. Ace sized book. I can't remember what they're called. There's a special name for the small ones. Great cover, John Brunner. Again, not a common one to be found lying around Australia, so I was happy with that. I found a couple of Orson Scott cards. I know some people have got problems with him. I like Ender's Game, and I really enjoyed Speaker for the Dead. I didn't need these, but they weren't expensive, and I've got a lot of Orson Scott cards, and I thought I might as well get these ones. Ender's Shadow, I know, is a much later one. It was written after all of the others. I'm not sure about Children of the Mind. All I know is that I didn't have it, and I haven't read it. So now, should I wish to, I can. Okay, Zena Henderson, Creator of the People. I had never heard of Zena Henderson until I started on BookTube. And even so, I haven't heard a lot about her. I don't know much about this one, except that there are strange children among us with fantastic powers and alien minds. And it's got a stunningly beautiful watercolor style cover. But yeah, Zena Henderson. I suspect I've never read any of theirs, and I might be doing so soon. Robert Sheckley options in this beautiful little pan edition. Needs no excuses nor any reasons. If I see a pan lozenge, I'm going to grab it. This one was from the Northern Rivers, and I don't think you can see the pencil mark. It wasn't $12 for me. It was $6, but still, that's the more expensive range of my purchasing limit. James P. Baylock, Land of Dreams. Have you ever heard of the book, the author, anything to do with this? I have not, but it's a cool cover. It's fun fair based, and I gather that there's a tinge of weird or a tinge of horror to it. I have high hopes on that one. Once again, in the Northern Rivers, for not $14, but it claims to be, I found Lord of Light by Roger Zelazny. I would go through fire and fear, though possibly not through Amazon, to collect all the Zelaznys, and this is one that not only have I never read, I don't own, so I was more than slightly thrilled. It was also the only Roger Zelazny on that shelf, so now it's mine. It is in appalling condition and will not improve under my tender care, but it's got that nice whoosh sound that makes it very readable. Okay, a couple more from the Acacia Ridge. Neil Gaiman and Chris Riddell, Chris Riddell being the artist, Neil Gaiman being the author, wrote Pirate Stew. I like these two in combination. I really love Riddell's artwork. I follow him on on Instagram, and I hadn't heard of this one, and now I've got it, and I shall read it when I'm in a quirky mood. Ah yes, also from the Far Out store, I got Henry Esmond Thackeray. I really, really love these little leather-bound light books. I also got The Black Tulip by Dumas, but that went straight on the shelf, replacing the edition I already had that I didn't like. And I've got English Verse Campion to the Ballads by W. Peacock. Again, one of these cool little books. I felt a bit bad about getting these two Thackeray, as I'm not likely to read it anytime soon, and I've got a lot of poetry, but then I found out they'd thrown out most of their books, so hey, I saved them, right? Hooray! What else? Let's grab a few off this end so the whole thing doesn't collapse on the floor. A Judgment of Dragons by Phyllis Gottlieb. Phyllis Gottlieb wrote The Sunburst, after which the Canadian Book Award Sunburst was named. I have never read anything else by her, though I've read Sunburst many, many times, so I was happy to get that one. Once again, in the Northern Rivers, and in appalling condition, but I was so happy to find this. D.G. Compton, Farewell Earth's Bliss. I've been seeing this for this last year or so on the internet. Great artwork, lots of other people have read it, mostly everyone loved it, and I was certain I would never find it in the wild, so I was going like this when I found that. I was so happy. The 12 Maidens by Stuart Farrar. I know nothing, except it's got a cool 60-ish, 70-ish type cover, which kind of wraps around, and when I read the back, it sounded pretty cool. You've got a new radar project, which was a complete success until the research team turned its scanners toward the Neolithic holy place of Maiden Tor. That could be a lot of fun. It could also be terrible, and I'll find out. Having accepted, moderately gracefully, my tag of a collector as well as reader, I am going into getting the Edgar Rice Burroughs Tarzan black covers again. I used to own a lot of them. I don't anymore. Tarzan's Quest, I'm pretty sure, is one of the ones that I owned and read as a teenager. I was happy to find it. It's not in terrible condition, a bit faded from being opposite the window. It's number 19 in the Tarzans, and I remember loving them all, so there we go. Haha! Is this Northern Rivers? I'm not sure. Yes. Gene Wolfe was prominent in the Northern Rivers in that I found 2 books of his, and he tends to be rare as hen's teeth in the Queenslands and the Australians. The Fifth Head of Cerberus is one that I used to own, and I used to own this copy. It wasn't in this good condition, by the way. It's a wraparound image, and it's thoroughly endorsed by James Blish. If I needed more motivation than the author, Gene Wolfe. Has he ever disappointed? I don't think so. The Devil and a Priest, Gene Wolfe again. Never even heard of this one before, but now it is mine. And I hope to read it. Maybe even this year. So, in the part of the bookshop in the Northern Rivers, which was further away from the sun, I found Erewhon by Samuel Butler. It was fairly expensive at $12, and it doesn't have its dust jacket, which apparently makes them more valuable. I always used to pick them off and throw them away for everything except Lord of the Rings when I was young. I've been wanting to read this for a few years. I feel like I did read it once when I was quite young and didn't get much out of it. So this is either a read or a reread. I'm not sure, but I'm looking forward to it. Yesterday in the community bookshop, I came across a few that made me reasonably happy. The Darling Buds of May by H.E. Bates, and it's in a penguin. I do like my penguins. This is a thin literary book, not science fiction, by the way. They came out with a series which I watched with my godmother when I was much younger, and the series was excellent. I think I tried to read the book once before when I was much younger, but I will try again. I'm looking forward to reading that one, and I think this time I will have more success. So I am the omnivorous reader. I am omnivorous because I read all the sorts of things, all the different genres. What I haven't read very much in the last, let's say, decade, I haven't read many westerns. I was really, really big on the westerns in my teenage years, but I just drifted away from them. However, I found The Mountain Valley War by Louis L'Amour, and I picked it up, and I thought, well, maybe it's time to revisit a genre that I haven't genred in for a while. So I'll get to that sooner or later. I'm not in a huge hurry, but I'm a little bit excited to read something that I haven't read that type for a long time. Okay, once again, we've got Neil Gaiman and Chris Riddell. Fortunately, The Milk. I know nothing about this one. Probably one of the ones that that is fairly new, and they're not getting advertising for obvious reasons that the internet will tell you all about. Chris Riddell's artwork is never not going to be fabulous, and I gather it's about someone who's gone on a mission to get milk when they run out of milk and has adventures. It's a kid's book, quite clearly, but that's fine. Many kids' books are great. This one also came from the community bookshop store, Clade by James Bradley. I've been hearing about this one for quite some time. Apparently it is a ecological destruction theme, but there is a dystopia to it. So there is a modern element of science fiction-ish, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, it's got bees on the cover. I like invertebrates. I hope to read that sometime. Fred Hoyle, The Bat Black Cloud. This one is also a Northern Rivers, a penguin science fiction, and I do love these editions. I have another Fred Hoyle, The Eighth Planet, I think it is. It's been sitting there staring at me from the bookshelf for a couple of years. I might get to it eventually, I hope so. I should probably not have bought a second Hoyle until I discovered whether I liked their writing or not, but So this is a Pan edition, The Case of the Glamorous Ghost by Earl Stanley Gardner, a Perry Mason mystery. I plan to read that in spooky season this year, October. It's a sexy spook, this one, and it startles spooners. I haven't read a Perry Mason for a long time either, so this might be the year where I diversify a bit more. What's not going to make everything fall apart? Okay, so we have a couple of Edmund Coopers. Again, Northern Rivers. Not cheap, but I love Edmund Cooper, and these are apparently two which, according to Goodreads, and I hope I should have believed Goodreads, I don't have. I'm pretty sure that Who Needs Men is one that I don't own and haven't read for a very, very long time, if at all, and I suspect not at all. Because my memories of Cooper aren't quite as problematic as he's often seen to be. And that one, I believe, is his most problematic. So I'll read it. The Cloud Walker by Edmund Cooper I definitely have read, and I've read recently, but according to Goodreads, I don't own. And even if I do own it, I don't think I own a cover that is that spectacularly beautiful. And so now I have it. I'll need to check my bookshelves and make decisions about who I keep and who I don't. So, show us your doors. How can you tell, I say, if you have a door and you position it opposite a glaring window in, I believe it was 36 degrees heat at the time. Obviously, it's not going to stay as yellow as it should, but the door up there in the corner is yellow. We've got a book about the 7th level. Sexual chauvinism was the foundation of that world structure. Most adequate book to come directly after Edmund Cooper. Women were less than human until one was raised. Suzette Haydn Algen, author of The Furthest and The Communipaths. I've never heard of her. And I will admit that I bought this largely based on the door factor, because we love our doors. It's a thin book. I'll brace myself for the content when I'm in the right mood. C.J. Sherry, Rimrunners, one of the finest writers science fiction has to offer. I've got to agree, I'm reading a C.J. Sherry at the moment, though that one is fantasy. Ah yes, 13 Lessons That Saved 13 Lives by Joel Volanthen, maybe, I don't know how to pronounce his name. So a few of you, certainly all of the Australians, I don't know about the other side of the world, will remember not that long ago a heap of Thai school children trapped in a cave when a rain came through them, filled them up, and they were basically trapped in this far cave, and the only way out was through water, and they were children, they couldn't scuba dive. It was a long, exhausting, terrifying rescue, and cave divers and seal divers from all around the world came to try and get these children out. It's a fantastic story which I followed in the newspapers and the news articles when it was happening, and here there is a whole book about it. I am looking forward to reading that book. Probably, I believe, by someone who was actually there. Okay, Fishtails by Sherry Tepper. It's a Sherry Tepper and I don't have it. I will read it. I'm getting back into Sherry Tepper. I'm enjoying getting back into Sherry Tepper. There's a lot of Sherry Tepper to get back into. Anya Seton, The Winthorpe Woman. It was cheap. It's been a long time since I read Anya Seton. I thought I might enjoy it. I don't know what else to say. It's a really old coronet. It's falling apart. But it feels like someone enjoyed reading it back in the day. Samuel R. Delany, Out of the Dead City. Can I tell you just how difficult it is to find Delaney's? Look at that cover. It's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. This one might skip way ahead on my reading list. Flame of Seven Waters by Juliet Marilia. She is a New Zealand or Australian? I'm going to say New Zealand. She's one of ours. She's one of our authors. She writes fantasy and she writes really, really well. I don't really know how to describe it, but I do recommend Juliet Marilia. I don't know if I recommend The Flame of Seven Waters yet because I haven't read it, but there's plenty of hers that I would. We have got, yes, The Red Unicorn by Tanith Lee. It's a hardcover, which I don't love. It's obviously been liberated from library servitude. Hennepin County Library, whatever Hennepin is. This was a gift from Anna, thank you very much. I now have all 3 of the Unicorn series, and I would love to read them in order. This was the one that I was waiting for, and maybe this year. I'm running out of year to read all the things that I want to read. Okay, Virgil, the Aeneid, which I'm probably mispronouncing hideously. I've been wanting to reread this one as well because I did read it when I was young. I had no idea where I was at. I had no idea where this was at. Would want to try again. Brian Aldiss, The Dark Light Years. I was so happy to find this. Rare as hen's teeth, and now I own it. And may never let it go. Okay, this one, I think this one was a community library. It has been in many a library. So this is Henry Kuttner, The Proud Robot, and it's a Hamlet science fiction. Great cover. Look at that cover. This, I believe, is one of the Kuttners from the era that he was married to C. L. Moore, and they probably wrote it together. I'll read that and let you know more about that, or if you have read it, let me know more about it down in the comments below. I'm really getting into C. L. Moore, and I will certainly read Henry Kuttner, purely based on her amazing writing. So, I've got 3 in this pile that I haven't purchased. I was going through a storage cage and I found boxes of a whole heap of stuff, including some books that I hadn't actually known was there. And I don't really know when I got it. I've got a feeling that someone gave this to me. Not certain. So this is, and if they did, it was a long time ago. At least 7 years ago. Maybe more than 10 years ago, probably. So Inside the Mind of Gene Roddenberry, the creator of Star Trek, by Yvonne Fern, with a foreword by Arthur C. Clarke. Whilst I've clearly owned this for a long time, I'm 99% certain I've never read it. And at this point, I would probably enjoy this more than I would enjoy many of the Star Trek offerings that are currently around. So I got it out of the book box and I brought it up here, and maybe I shall read that one. And also this book by Dave Marinaccio. All the other things I really need to know, I learned from watching Star Trek, The Next Generation. Now this one I have read at least partly. I have no memory of it whatsoever, so here we are. We'll try to read it again soon. Nearing the end are a couple of real gems, one of which is Lilith by A Romance by George MacDonald. This was an unexpected gift from Kerry Smith, a watcher, a viewer, a dedicated viewer, I would even say, of this channel, who observed and apparently enjoyed my reviews of George MacDonald's short stories that I did last year, and bought me this one and sent it through in the hopes that I would read it, and I really hope to read it too, because it looks gorgeous, and George MacDonald is so fine, such a fine writer. I am looking forward to Lilith. It is definitely on my to-read list this year. Now, this was a true find, and it was from the community library, and I'd already picked up a book that day. Two books that day. I'd brought in 2 to exchange, and then I saw this one, and I was really hesitating. A, it's a hardcover. I don't love it. B, Anne McCaffrey. I do like Anne McCaffrey, but I just reread Decision at Duna. I didn't love it as much as I hoped to, but something about it just kept calling me. This is The Salura by Anne McCaffrey. It's a hardcover with its dust jacket in place. And its dust jacket is actually in reasonably good condition, and the cover is in better condition. So I'm sitting there hesitating, and the lovely lady basically talked me into it. It's got that printed insert cover, and when I finally got down to it, I realized that it is illustrated all the way throughout, and some of the illustrations are very nice. They are by Kevin Eugene Johnson, and this would appear to be a first edition. It claims to be, and I've never seen it before. I don't think I've ever read this Anne McCaffrey before, and I will read it. I wish it hadn't been a hardcover, but you know. Ah, yes. So, Tanith Lee again. This is my copy of Drinking Sapphire Wine and Don't Bite the Sun. You will observe that it's been written on, and I haven't been able to get it off. You will observe that the spine is virtually unreadable and vaguely not holding on to the main cover. It is in shocking, very well read condition. So how did I feel when I came across one in brand new condition? Pristine cover. Okay, it's been read. That's a good thing, but you can still read the spine. And Again, the wraparound, the beautiful cover. So I am currently upgrading from one to the other, and I am actually very pleased about this. I don't normally care if my books are ragged and distasteful, but this one, especially that silly writing on it, has been distressing me for some time. So I'm very pleased about that. Does anyone want a copy of Drinking Sapphire Wine and Don't Bite the Sun? Available for postage only. I'm in Australia. Postage will be prohibitive. Okay, so for the final and most fun part of this haul, in the same box that I found the Star Trek books, I found Ghostly Haunts by Murray Comics. Now, I know there was a Ghostly Haunts from, was it America or was it England? Maybe it was both, I don't know. But this one is an Australian version. So you've got that stunning artwork on the front, and it has no frontispiece whatsoever, though it is urging you to build one of these aeroplanes. And you've got a range of spooky, camp, naff stories. The first one, The Vampire, is very, very derivative of Dracula. The back cover is torn. That's Murray from Murray Comics, by the way. And it's an Australian contribution to the joy of horror. I might reread all of those one day. It would be really hard to review. Part of the joy here is the quite amazing artwork. Oh, I've got to show you the Cinderella one. Cinderella. Spooky, spooky Cinderella. As if it couldn't be spookier, here we have, yeah, even spookier. So that's my book haul from January 2026. Thank you for joining me and laughing along as I completely max out my future reading plans. It was fun. I think it might be the last one for a while. I'm not planning on buying any more books. Who are we kidding? I'll probably see you in next month with the next book review. So in the meantime, out of all the plethora of books out there in the world, make sure to read good books.